We are live on the internet. It's like magic.
That's fantastic.
How you doing, Bobby?
Good. Yourself? How you been, Eric? How's it going? All right.
Fantastic. Feeling really good. It's good to have we actually met before?
We have. Yeah, I've been
We
into a
have.
couple of the NBA conferences, and I've seen you there. Sure.
Gotcha. I figured so, but as I've said previously, all you walking people look the same. It's hard to tell you apart. So it's hard to remember who I've met and who I haven't. And I stand out, so it's easy to spot me.
Yeah, that's all right. You and your partner are great, so you guys are doing good work.
Thank you. Yeah, we try. So you've been at this a long time.
Yes, we have.
I think if I'm correct in this, End Drowning Now started in 2010. Is that right?
That is correct. Yep.
So what made you decide to do that?
Well, like I said, I'm with Saf-t-Swim swim schools. Been with them for over 20 years now, and I just wanted a different way to pamphlet or being able to pick up a flyer at the local fire department or something like that. There wasn't really a good way to communicate this information to people, so that's really what drove me to do it.
Gotcha. And you guys are located up in New York, right?
Yeah, Long Island.
Long Island. And do you focus on Long Island? Because there's not really a lot of water safety stuff going on Long Island.
Well, yeah, no, we're predominantly probably the top of the dog. We're definitely the top of the dog in the swim school industry, and then this program has really taken off, especially with our partnership with the Respect Life and the new Respect the Water campaign. And I don't know if you saw in the information I sent you, but we've educated over 75,000 school children and given out 150,000 of our booklets that you see online. So
that's really cool. Yeah, I talked to Rich. He was actually sitting where you're sitting, as far as where I'm concerned, a couple weeks ago, and he was fantastic. He told his story, obviously, and then he talked about how he kind of avoided water safety, and then got into it later on, and partnered up with you, and almost entirely because you had a sign behind you that said respect, and you kind of saw that as a sign, and yeah, I really enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah, we met at an actual an award ceremony for one of the local organizations here. And him and I were introduced to each other, and he kind of asked me, why do I do what I do, thinking that I may have had a tragedy myself. And I said, no, I'm sick and tired of hearing it every year. And I wanted to try to put a stop to it and educate people and give them the information that they needed and the layers of protection. And he was sitting in my office one day, and Saf-t-Swim's motto is where children learn to love and respect the water. And there you go. So it just was natural partnership.
Right. And so from then, has that changed how you guys approach your water safety education?
It's only changed because obviously we have a direct connection to him and his family and the tragedy that happened to him. So I really take that to heart. I mean, I actually teach his younger daughter, lessons now, and she's doing fantastic. So I have obviously a personal connection with him and his family because of that. But Saf-t-Swim as a whole and End Drowning Now is just really, really committed to making a difference, not only in Long Island, but in the entire Northeast and hopefully the entire country, that we could help get this word out and partner with other great organizations that are out there like yourselves and get this message delivered uniformly. And that's the problem. I think we don't have a good way of delivering a uniform message to everybody, and that being the same message. We want to save lives.
Yeah, there does kind of seem to be a scattered message, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's been some improvement on that. The NDPA has helped a little bit with that. I know the entire purpose of Water Safety USA, which is an organization that was started a few years ago, and they surfaced about once a year, and their whole agenda is to come out with one water safety message that they're going to push for the year through all their respective organizations. And they're the CPSC, American Red Cross, Boy Scouts of America, Parks and Rec. They pick what their water safety message is going to be for that year, and so that they're all in the same message essentially. And that's the entire purpose of that organization, is to unify messaging. But it still seems that we have a lot of splinters in the organization.
Yeah, I think that everybody wants to take a piece, and I understand that part of it from a business standpoint. But when the message is really that we want to make a difference, a huge difference, in the amount of drownings that are happening every year and incidents that are happening every year, then I think it's got to be a little bit more of a uniform message together for the same purpose. That's my goal, and that's what I think that we all can accomplish.
What would you like to see the unified message be?
I think obviously there's got to be a lot of education out there so that parents understand and caregivers understand that there's layers of protection, that water can be dangerous. It's a lot of fun, but it's absolutely dangerous. There has to be a respect for it. And there's a lot of layers of protection that go into being able to keep a child at bay. And obviously one of the most important is learning how to swim. We live on Long Island, we're surrounded by water, and that's why we obviously hope that every parent and every adult for that matter learns how to swim. So we try to really educate the parents and the people in the area to the importance of starting at a younger age, and we'll go into that in a few minutes. But I think it's important that all the parents understand how dangerous it can be and what they can do to have a layer of protection. So if one thing fails and you can't watch your child for a second, they get away from you, that there's an alarm, there's the safety fencing like you guys do, there's the self-closing, self-latching gates, there's the door alarms and the window alarms. There's something else that can stop that child from getting to the pool or to that body of water.
Yeah, we've been preaching layers of protection since 1987 when we coined the term in a book we put out called Summertime Fun, Year-Round Danger. Using layers of protection to protect your pool, and I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's not just for a pool. Obviously, you listen to what Rich said. It was his backyard pond. It could be the ocean. It could be while you're on vacation. It could be at a lake or at a river. I mean, there's layers of protection around any body of water that has to be to do.
Yeah, 100%. So, what made you decide to get involved with Saf-t-Swim in the first place? I mean, was that your background? Were you in aquatics? How did you start teaching swim lessons?
No, actually, I used to be in the gym business, believe it or not. And my uncle was the founder of Saf-t-Swim back in 1984, and had the opportunity to start working for him in '89. And I love kids. I love the challenge of working with a child and trying to get them from possibly crying in the beginning to loving you in a matter of a couple of weeks, and then having them run to you and see the results. I mean, we teach over 15,000 kids a week.
Wow.
And these kids range anywhere from 2-3 months old all the way up to 10, 11 years old. And to see a child that's 2.5, 3 years old, 1 year old swimming and being able to save themselves, just to me is what we need to do with all of the children across the country, so that these drownings aren't happening when they're 3, 4, and 5, like you do see pretty normally across the country.
So you guys are giving out 15,000 swim lessons a week?
We're doing between 10 and 15,000 lessons a week, depending on what time of the year it is and the locations. Yeah.
Wow. How do you even? I mean, that's mind blowing. How do you even manage that?
Well, we have 13 locations, so that certainly helps.
Yeah.
And then we do one-on-one lessons predominantly, and it really gives us the opportunity to really work at the child's pace and work with them individually, so that they can learn, at their pace, and they can learn at their, what they need to work on. So, like if we have a child that's crying but is really able to do things, we're going to be able to work around that and figure out a way to make it work for them. And that's what I think differentiates us from a lot of other swim schools across the country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a swim. I mean, I'm sure you would know. I mean, is there another swim school that size?
No, we're probably one of the bigger ones across the country. There are a lot of excellent swim schools across the country in different states and have similar programs, but a lot of them do groups. We just found that our niche really worked with us to be able to do the one-on-one, and allows us the opportunity to work with that child's pace and really develop that relationship with them, that they then can trust us, but also then trust themselves. And that's really the most important thing. I mean, when you look at trying to stop a drowning, it's really trying to get somebody to be instinctively reactive to the water and not panic, right? That's what we want them to do. We want a child and we want an adult not to panic. Once they panic, they're in big trouble. That's when they're going to get water in their stomach, they're going to get water in their lungs, and they generally can't make a sound. Drowning isn't like you see on TV or in the movies; it's silent. So we can get a child or an adult to react in a positive way and not panic when they first fall in the water, and actually try to come up and get to the side of the pool or float on their back and get themselves in a potential rescue situation. It's a much better, it's a much better outcome.
I really believe that the one-on-one lessons are where it's at. And I think it's really impressive that you found a way to do one-on-one lessons at scale like that. You would think you have to kind of pick. You either have to teach a lot of kids or you have to teach one-on-one, but it's neat that you found a way to do both.
Yeah, we have, and don't get me wrong, we still do a really great group program, a Baby and Me program, where we have the moms come in and introduce them to the water, and have that skin to skin, that bonding experience, and let them to really develop that relationship and bond with their child. But then the natural progression is one-on-one, and we start as young as 2 months old. Various other swim schools and the United States Swim School Association recommend 6 months old. So it's really up to the individual parent to make their own decision after they've educated themselves.
So what kinds of things are you doing at 2 months old?
It's really just kind of working with their instincts. I mean, babies are very comfortable in the water because they're in the womb for 9 months, which is liquid. So you're taking advantage of the natural instincts from being in the water for 9 months, and they have these natural instincts that they generally will keep until around 9 or 10 months old. And if you can capture those natural instincts before that period of time, you don't have to retrain them. It's a very, very natural process for them to learn. It makes the process of learning how to swim so much easier too. I mean, you're going to have kids that are going to be swimming and being able to do a lot of things by the time they're 1.5, 2.5 years old.
Yeah, I know that babies do lose the hold your breath instinct at a certain age. I figured it was like 9, 10 months old. But can you capture that before it phases out and keep it going?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they have a tremendous amount of reflexes and they have a gag reflex. They aren't able to take water into their lungs up to a certain age. They have a riding reflex, a diving reflex, a moral reflex. I mean, I don't want to get into all the scientific stuff of it, but it's, you're taking advantage of that natural instincts that they have from being in the womb, which is liquid, and you're using that to your advantage to get them to be comfortable in the water and eventually learning how to swim.
So at what point, at what age do they start doing kind of survival skill type training?
Well, in our case, obviously it's different for every single child because each child is different, and that's what allows us the opportunity to develop that bond and find out what they're good at or what they need help with or what they're not comfortable with, and then kind of develop our lesson plan around that. But I have a little girl today that I was teaching. She's just turning 2. I think she's 2 years and 7 months. I mean, she can go in the middle of the pool. She can do freestyle. She can do backstroke. She can do elementary backstroke, and she's able to save herself. So I mean, that's hopefully the outcome with all children.
That's pretty cool. I'm surprised at how water safety savvy Long Island is. You have a massive swim school there. We probably install more pool fences on Long Island in the summer than anywhere else in the country. It is our most popular area to sell and install pool fences by far. So between the number of pool fences we're putting in, between the number of lessons you guys are giving out, it's kind of surprising that an area like Long Island, which you wouldn't think of as a water mecca of the country. I don't think swimming pools when I think Long Island. It's not Florida or California. You guys are really up on your water safety. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's been a good, turnaround in the media and coverage and people like myself and Rich and the swim school industry and even we have a partnership up here with Pool Guard, and I know that's a competitor of yours, but we have nice partnerships with the local aquarium, the Adventureland water park, Splash Water Park, the Adventureland Park, and we try to it's about education. And we do live on an island, so we are surrounded by water, and kids love to swim. So parents are installing a lot of pools, and so we're trying to do the best that we can to get the message out there. And that's why I developed End Drowning Now. Was I wanted to deliver a message that's going to keep children safer around water, by partnering with Safer3 and various other organizations across the country when I did this, so that we can save lives. I mean, that's obviously the part of it.
You know, what you guys should do is you should partner with a pool fence company that does a lot of like outreach and educational stuff. Maybe one that has a podcast. I don't know. It's a thought. That's what I would do.
I'm open to everything and anything, and you know that, Eric. So we'll continue to talk. I mean, the more people we have trying to do this together, once again, that's the outcome. Is we do it together, all of us, then we're going to save more lives. So that's the outcome. That's what we want.
Yeah, Pool Guards never had you on their podcast. I'm just saying.
Well, we love them anyway.
No, they're great. Mike over there is awesome. I talked to him a few weeks ago. He's a good guy. So, you know, you just said something that I lost in my dig on Pool Guard there that I forgot about. But so, you know, when you talk about, you know, the different ways we can get the messaging out there, you know, what are some things you think we could be doing better that we're not doing?
I think it's got to be a unifying message once again, and we talked about that a little bit before. And I think that if we could get a couple more organizations involved, and we're trying to talk about the importance of the same things, you know, swim lessons being important, the layers of protection that you guys obviously have been big proponents of, and just all is delivering the same message uniformly across the country, so that everybody's getting the same information and educating themselves, and that's being, you know, advertised, and it's being broadcast, and you're getting you know, PSAs out there and that kind of stuff. I think it's going to make a huge difference. I mean, think about it. Think if we were able to have the kind of results that car seats had, you know, for children. I mean, that's what we need, is something big like that it's going to make such a difference that you know, we're going to stop the drownings.
Yeah, I talk about car seats all the time, because everyone knows you have a baby, you have to have a car seat before you're even allowed to leave the hospital, right? And as you and I know, you know, your child is 14 times more likely to die in a swimming pool than in a car accident.
Yep.
And, you know, we're so correctly, you know, making sure that the car seat situation is taken care of, but we don't put nearly as much emphasis on making sure if they have a pool at home, that they have pool safety precautions in place as well. You know,
absolutely.
The logic is backwards.
Yeah, it is backwards a little bit. You know, and some people don't like to take the extra precautions because it's more expensive or it costs a little bit more money. But when you're taking the responsibility of putting a pool in your backyard, you have to take the extra steps to make it as safe as you possibly can. And you know, and that involves other layers of protection that are going to cost money. You know, my pool upstairs is just a semi in-ground pool, but I put a pool fence around it. I have self-closing, self-latching gates. I have alarms. Did I need to do that by code? No, but I did it because that's what I do. You know, I mean, and you know, if I can't lead by example, then how are we going to make a difference if we're not all doing this together?
You know, I heard someone told me recently an idea, and I liked it a lot, where they suggested that during that first bath, the baby gets in the hospital, which is kind of the first time they're submerged in water, you know, outside of the womb. That would be a perfect time for the nurse to give the water safety spiel. You know, maybe watch a video like Rich just recommended. You know, some kind of, you know, water safety info during that first bath. You know, that way it's, you know, kind of ingrained in the process of this is water, and, you know, this is things you should be worried about with the water.
Well, there you go. That's all part of the educational process, right? So, I mean, if we were able to come up with some kind of a program that the hospitals and the pediatricians would buy into and would agree to, we could do that. I mean, imagine, every parent gets a welcome pack, a little packet that they take home from the hospital, right? Could you imagine if we could do a water safety packet that involves swim lessons, layer protections, fencing, all that stuff, and they were able to take that information home? Huge difference. Huge.
Yeah. And yeah, it just seems like there's these things that seem pretty obvious that aren't happening. And I've been talking about this, I feel like 3 times a week, every time we do the podcast. But Carrie Morrison with Live Like Jake just did a survey, and it was, you know, anecdotal, but she had respondents from all over the country, and, you know, they said that they hadn't 85% of people.
Go ahead.
I hear someone talking to you. 85% of people had not been briefed by their pediatrician on water safety, which means on the other side, 15% had. You know, which I thought it would be bad. I thought that, you know, there would be a a low number of people who are warned about pool safety or water safety from their pediatrician, but only 15%, only 15 people out of 100 are being told by their pediatrician about, swim lessons, pool fencing, etc. I mean, that's amazing. For the number one killer or accidental killer of kids between 1 and 4. I mean, that's really remarkable.
It is, and it's sad that it's actually that kind of statistic. But the American Academy of Pediatrics is trying to come out with the new information. They're trying to do that, but the doctors and the pediatricians, are a little reluctant on occasions to do what they think is the best thing, and so parents are kind of misinformed that, hey, maybe I should start lessons I shouldn't start lessons until I'm 2, 3, or 4, because a lot of pediatricians aren't saying anything or don't recommend it until they're 3 or 4.
I mean, they used to say 5, right? The
Yep.
AAP used to recommend 5 years old. And I remember when we came out with our first pool safety guide, we addressed that. We said, most doctors will tell you 5 years old, but most kids drown before they reach 5 years old, drown. So, use some common sense and, make your own choice kind of thing.
The American Academy of Pediatrics did change their statement back in 2010, and it's gotten a lot better since. I'm hoping that there'll be an update to that statement as well. And the science behind it's proving otherwise. So that's really good. And like I said, there has been a big push to getting more information out there, more education out there. The media is responding a little bit better. Obviously, we had that big issue with the Bodie Miller's child a couple of months ago. That's the kind of stuff that we need to get that information out to more people, and I think that it's at least headed in the right direction. So let's hope that it continues.
I really don't like the jab in the American Academy of Pediatrics journal book guide, where it says while children rolling over and floating makes for compelling videos on the internet, there isn't any scientific data that you can teach a kid under 1 year old to save themselves. And because I mean that's literally directly attacking what so many of us are doing.
Once again, it's just not having the proper science and the proper information behind them to be able to make that decision. And in a big organization like that has to have stats. They have to have proper statistics. They have to have the information to be able to put that out there. So I think they're just being cautious for that reason. So that's where we have to come in. Now we have to do the education and hopefully inform parents at an early age. Let them make their own self decision, inform themselves so they can make a really good decision, what's best for their child, best for their family. And that's only going to happen through education.
So you mentioned Safer 3. So Johnny Johnson in Safer 3, that's stop drowning now, right?
Correct.
And you guys are end drowning now.
Yep. I started mine and then they kind of came in, but it was just kind of by accident the way it happened. But to me, it shows almost a little parody, and we like, hey, maybe there is some things starting to happen where we're trying to all get the same message. I mean, Johnny and Cindy and the Stop Drowning Now program is fantastic. We use the Safer 3 characters in our school shows up until this coming year, when we're going to change things a little bit with the Respect the Water campaign, up here on Long Island. But that was the reason I did ask to partner with them, is because their message is fantastic. Safer water, safer people, and safer response. I mean, that's really what this is all about. So.
Yeah, it's just another way of kind of framing the layers of protection idea, right?
Yep.
And I like the categorization, right? You always have all three of those. You always have water. You always have people, or he calls them kids because everybody's somebody's kid. And you always have a response, whether it's CPR or rescue or whatever it might be. It's a neat way of looking at it. And the characters are great. The book is good. The educational material is really well done. I've known Johnny a long time. He's a good guy. Him and Cindy.
Yep.
And they do great work. And I was excited to see, how popular their program became. That it kind of seemed to spread pretty well.
Well, we hope we're a big part of that, because, like I said, we did our elementary school show out here with those characters, and so 75,000 kids on Long Island and 150,000 parents got booklets with that information in it, and that's what we were hoping to do is have that message be sent down there about that. But we partnered with Stu Leonard's children's book, and we've partnered with various other organizations across the country, and helping deliver those messages. Zach Foundation has a good book. I mean, we try to do as much as we can getting involved with other people so that we can help pass that same message.
Now, again, the numbers you're talking about are so staggering. You say them, and then you step back and think about 75,000 kids getting taught water safety education, or 15,000 lessons being taught a week. So how can you? I mean, you've done a really good job of taking this and bringing it to scale, which I think is doesn't happen very often, right? We always wonder who the Mothers Against Drunk Driving of water safety will be, or who's going to be the Salvation Army of water safety. And you've got the NDPA, who is very good in their niche, right? At the their conference is great, and they're all about being the umbrella organization to bring other organizations together. But they're in their mission statement, they say they don't produce any educational materials. They don't do any outreach on their own. That's part of their deal. They're just about pushing other people's messages. You've got Water Safety USA, but that's different. You've done a really good job at bringing this to scale. How do you have any plans to kind of take the scale that you built up on New York and spread it on kind of a national basis?
Yeah, exactly. That's what our hope is. I mean, Saf-t-Swim partnering with End Drowning Now and now partnering with Respect Life. We've developed this program called Respect the Water, and our hope is to get this out there and have it take off, so that it becomes not only Long Island and the New York area, but the Northeast, and hopefully maybe even across the country. But I mean, the United States Swim School Association is doing great work. Like I said, we've partnered with many organizations just here locally. I partnered with the Northeast Spa and Pool Association, the Long Island Pool and Spa Association. They've been a huge help. They are a big part of us helping with our shows and getting that information out there. And that's the kind of things that we need to do, is have these local partnerships as well as these national partnerships so that we can get the messages out there.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think, like we keep saying, this unified message is going to be a big part of that. And hopefully, I think it would be good for water safety, for whether it's End Drowning Now or whoever it is, to be kind of the whether it's Bodie Miller's foundation or whatever it is, to have one kind of national large organization that's scaled up and treats it like a business and does it the right way to really get the word out. I think that's kind of what it's going to take.
It is, and obviously there's funding and politics that are going to be involved with all of that kind of thing. That's the stuff that kind of aggravates me sometimes, but that's the reality of it. But it, so that's, but once again, the more people that start talking about it, the more people that we can start getting conversation going and start to see results, and maybe the statistics start to change, when the CPSC comes out with their reports and USA Swimming comes out with the reports, we'll be able to start seeing a difference. And then, hey, now we have some scientific information behind us to say, hey, listen, kids swimming at a younger age is making a difference. Kids getting educated at a younger age is making a difference. Kids and parents that are learning more is making a difference. That's what we need.
How do you think we can collect that data? What kind of metrics do you think we should be recording to find out that information?
I mean, obviously, especially when it comes to the drowning statistics, you don't know how many kids have been saved.
Right.
You're never going to know that number.
We say that about pool fencing all the time, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's no way of knowing that number, whether it was because they've gotten swimming lessons or because of the layers of protection or a pool fence, lifeguards, you never know who's been saved. So all we can really go by, and the only statistics that we can legitimately look at are the drowning statistics. And the problem with those is that they're not changing. They're kind of staying status. And like you said before, it's still one of the leading causes of death for children 1 to 4. We got to change that number. And that's the only way that's going to really, that's the number that if that starts to change for the positive, then that people are going to start seeing and listening.
In fact, since I've been doing this, the ranking went up. It used to be the number 2 national cause for kids 1 to 4, and now it's number 1.
Yeah, it bounces around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it has a lot to do with the population, and obviously it's more apparent now, so it's more out there, it's more in the media coverage. So, and I think they changed recently have changed the coding in the hospitals too, so that it used to be asphyxiation if a kid had died on scene and died at the hospital. I think they've since tried to change that too. So you may notice a change in that because of that.
Well, and a lot of drowning fatalities still aren't being recorded because, if it's a non-fatal drowning at first, and then a few months goes by, and then a child dies of complications,
Yeah, that's the kind of things I was talking about. That doesn't, those are the numbers you're not seeing.
Yeah, there's going to be a lung issue, or even if it happens 10 years later, right?
Yep.
Then it's some kind of respiratory issue or neurological. Those deaths aren't recorded as drowning deaths. And
nope, they are.
So I think in the U.S. are definitely lower than they should be, but internationally they're much, much lower than we think. They just don't do a good job in Nicaragua or Somalia of recording drowning deaths.
No, they don't. I mean, but and once again, I think right now we have to focus on the United States of America because obviously it's a major problem here, and we got to make a difference. And we got to figure out the best way to do that.
Absolutely. So, what do you guys have coming up in the near future that you want to let people know about?
Well, obviously they could visit the website. It's enddrowningnow.org. They can actually download a PDF of our booklet. We're constantly posting stuff on Facebook and updates there, but we do have a water safety gala that we're doing on a water safety event on Friday, October 26th at the local aquarium out here in Riverhead. And we're trying to raise funds for the Respect the Water campaign and, and then utilize that money for the information and the production of the school shows that we're going to be doing this coming school year.
All right, we'll make sure we attend that. My guy in Long Island will have to go to that. He doesn't have a choice now. So.
Well, that's great. Yeah, you guys can take a table, be a sponsor, whatever. So
that's going to happen.
I'll send you the link if you'd like.
I think you might have sent me the PDF with the.
I think I did. Yeah.
Info. I'll forward that to him, and he's not doing that, so he'll thank me for that. That's great. But and so you got the website. Obviously, you guys are all over Facebook, Instagram, the whole thing, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. Anything else you want to let people know about before we wrap this up?
Just. I mean, this is a very important weekend. Obviously, it's the last unofficial weekend of the summer. Be vigilant. Be prepared. Watch your children. Keep them in front of you at all times. I have all the water watcher tags up on my pool fence up there. Assign somebody if you're having a party or you're at a party. Assign somebody 15 minutes at a time. So that there's somebody responsible watching the water and it's not distracted at all. They're not on the phone. They're not drinking. They're not on a computer. They're not talking to somebody. They take 10 or 15 minutes. They watch the water, keep the kids safe. And then somebody else takes that spot and it just stays that way. If you can't hire a lifeguard, obviously.
Beautiful.
And just make sure they're around water this weekend to stay safer and make sure that they're prepared. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bad weekend for drowning, unfortunately. So hopefully, maybe this gets out there and you can save a couple people.
That's what we're hoping for. That's why I'm glad you picked this day. I thought it was really important. And always swim near a lifeguard. Obviously, on Long Island, we hear about this stuff all the time, adults and teenagers included. Swim near a lifeguard. Don't mess around with the ocean. It's a whole different animal.
100%. All right. Well, thank you so much, Bobby. I really appreciate it.
Eric, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. We really appreciate it as well.
All right. Have a good one. Everybody go check out his website. You guys have a great, safe Labor Day weekend. We'll see you on Monday.